You know you're usually going to fall off at some point with your training or your sleep or your diet or alcohol or whatever during the weekends. So why aren't you prepared for it? So you trying to get in a workout when you're already busy, when you're like, oh, I worked a 10-hour shift or I work 12-hour shifts and I go home and I gotta do homework with my kids and I gotta cook and blah, blah, blah. You trying to get your workout in that day? Don't. I actually think you shouldn't restrict yourself too much on the weekends. I know you're like, well, you just told me that I shouldn't binge. Hear me out. What's up, everybody? Stefan Kuhns here. Welcome to the Everyday Pursuit podcast. This episode is going to be short and sweet. And, moving forward, I realized looking back on episodes, we're almost at episode 100, that some of my episodes are really long. I don't know. I like to talk. That's why I have a freaking podcast. But I want to give you guys just some short, sweet, like straight to the point episodes that I think, that will give you value, but it doesn't take up a bunch of your day. So for me, I don't like taking rest days on weekends. And I know that's very counterintuitive to maybe what a lot of people say is like, hey, I'm going to train Monday through Friday and, I'll take Saturday and Sunday off, or I'm going to take Saturdays off. Or I think a lot of people, International Rest Day, Sunday, and I get it, it's like family day, but, here's my thing. You're usually going to fall off at some point with your training or your sleep or your diet or alcohol or whatever during the weekends. So why aren't you prepared for it? And what I mean by that is like, prime example, when I was in the military, story time, I would train really hard Monday through Friday and I would eat low carb and I'd eat super clean. And come the weekends, I would eat not that great and I would drink alcohol and I would just repeat this cycle over and over and over again. And I know we have clients in our program right now that probably struggled with that or maybe even are still struggling with it. And if you are in the military, I know how that goes, right? Monday through Friday, you're really busy at work. Maybe you're drinking too, but like then you have this job that's super stressful and you worked a lot of hours and you're like, oh, it's the weekend. You don't have to be a first responder, but I know that from being in the military. And then you like kick back. You're like, I earned the right to go eat junkie, or I earned the right to go party and drink, and more power to you. But guess what? Then you're making all this backwards progress. Now, it depends on what you're doing during the weekday. But for example, if you're in like a calorie deficit, let's say a small deficit, like 300 calories, okay, a day. And usually like a normal calorie deficit's 500, but let's say it's 300 a day. You times that by 5. Okay, but 5 days, Monday through Friday, if you don't go out Friday night, it's 1,500 calories. Dude, it is so easy to consume an excess of 1,500 calories. It's like easy. Like you go have 4 beers and go out to eat, and that meal might have been like 2,500 calories. And if you went to like a Mexican restaurant, and let's say you just got like a chimichanga and a couple beers, like that might be a 2,500 calorie or 3,000 calorie day. And I used to do this. I'd eat like pretty low carb, eat really clean, lift, try to be in like a calorie deficit. And on the weekends, I would binge. And look, I was good at it. I was good at it to the point where I could maintain. And I ate like nasty, like Filberto's fast food, would drink a lot of beer. And I knew, and I was on this cyclical cycle, but I was also in my early 20s. And every time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I always felt like I was kind of like, I could tell that I was just making up for what I did on the weekends. And like come Friday, I would be like, oh, I'm right where I left off. And yeah, I'd let me not get any fatter, but I definitely didn't get in very good shape because I didn't have control of my nutrition. And the one thing that made a big difference is me saying, hey, I'm going to train on the weekends. And the reason is because a couple things. Number one, if I trained on, like if I had to wake up on Saturday morning and train, I didn't want to drink on Friday night. Right? Or like not more than 1 or 2 drinks because I'd feel like crap at the gym. Same thing on Sunday. I was like, oh, I don't really want to drink on Saturday night because I have to wake up and train on Sunday. And so for me, that was probably the biggest thing to make me cut out alcohol. And I didn't drink like an excess. I don't know, it was like part of like the military culture that I was in and my friends. And like, we just drank on the weekends. And even if it was like 4 or 5 beers, I do think alcohol is one of the number one things to ruin your physique. Like, I'm not saying you can't drink it, but you'll look bloated. It slows down your muscle building, messes up your metabolism. It's pretty detrimental to the way your physique looks. Yes, performance too. And you might be like, well, I'm never cutting out alcohol. That's fine. But like, if you had to train the next day, what would your night look like? How much would you drink and what would you eat? If you had to wake up at 6 a.m. and go to the gym, what would you do? And that's the thing is I wanted to get it done really, really early because I had a family and I wanted my workouts to be very short and very effective. And so I would wake up and do like a pretty high intensity 45 to 60-minute workout first thing in the morning, which to me, I woke up at 6 when I was in the military. So this was like 6:30, 7 a.m. before my family got up. I didn't want to like eat crappy food. I didn't want to drink alcohol. So that was the biggest thing for me. And then the mindset shift of like, okay, if I am going to go out and have a beer or two, or even if you're not an alcohol person, I'm going to have excess calories. I mean, we all do on the weekends. And if you're a first responder and you're like, oh, well, I don't have Saturdays and Sundays off, whatever, your weekend, your days off. Most people on their days off, you're at home more. So you're not busy, right? If you're at work, you're like, you can't always eat when you want, right? You have a busy job depending on what it is. If you're at home, freaking kitchen's right there, food's right there, or you're going out and you're doing things, which means you probably don't have that healthy option available to you. I actually think you shouldn't restrict yourself too much on the weekends. I know you're like, well, you just told me that I shouldn't binge. Hear me out. The reason that I train too is so I can enjoy my food more. If I know that I'm going to be eating 1,000 calories more on Saturday and 1,000 calories more than I usually do on Sunday, which is quite a bit, but let's just say I did. Yes, I can be in a deficit during the weekday, which you should, to kind of counteract that. But like if you're only in a 300 calorie deficit, we just said, right? 300 times 5, that's 1,500. That means like one day or 1.5 days, then you just ruined all that, right? We don't want that. We want you to actually make forward progress. So yes, you should be in maybe a small deficit, but then I also make sure that I'm training maybe at a higher intensity, maybe something that's going to be more of a like calorie burning workout. So like big compound lower body movements at a high intensity. Just to give you an example, I might say, hey, I'm going to do, it doesn't have to be just lower body. Hey, I'm going to do sled pushes, pull-ups and lunges. Like that's it. And we talked about this, I think with Coach Ryan about like big compound movements and doing 45-minute workouts. That's kind of what I do in the gym. I make sure that I do high intensity. I'm in there, I'm put in the work, and I want to be done because I want to go home and hang out with my family. But I also want to burn as many calories as possible. I know if I'm doing a little bit of high intensity, I have some of the like, afterburn effect. I'm also doing things that break down my muscle because that's really where those after calorie burning exercises come from, which basically what I mean is if you do HIIT training, they say, oh, you have this afterburn effect. Yeah, you kind of do. But that's EPOC, which is excess post oxygen consumption, or I think, yeah, exercise excess post oxygen consumption, which basically means after you're done working out, you kind of breathe in excess oxygen from the high intense workout, and that can have you increase your metabolism, burn more calories. But beyond that, like what happens 24 hours later? And usually that's kind of gone. That only lasts like a few hours versus if you break down your muscles, there's a lot of metabolism boosting things, specifically lower body, right? Because they're like really big muscle groups or maybe like your upper back. But you could tell too, like, if you go do arms and calves, it doesn't really tire you out that much. You're doing sled pushes, big compound movements. You're hungry. You're depleting your glycogen storage. You're burning stored body fat after you get done training. So very, very important that you stick to that. And so I, from a scheduling standpoint and a mindset standpoint, I want to train on the weekends because I know I'm going to be eating crappier. I know I'm going to be eating, maybe consuming alcohol. So that makes me a lot more conscious about how much I consume. It also makes me very aware of my sleep. I don't want to stay up till midnight. Why? I'm waking up at 6. And we know that if you're used to going to bed at like 9 or 10, or for me, it's like a 10, maybe 10:30, I stay up till midnight. Even if I don't drink, I feel like hungover. I'm getting my mid 30s. Don't laugh. I feel I'm definitely from like 25 to where I am right now, 33. I can't stay up late anymore. I feel terrible. No alcohol involved. I just don't. So I'm also just more conscious about my health habits because I'm forced to train. And when I'm forced to train the next day, I'm like, hey, when I go do this, I want to be at my tip top shape. And what happened is just by doing that, I started to drink less. I started to choose healthier foods because I didn't want to feel bad. And I started to have a better sleep cycle. And you might go like, well, that's no fun. You don't do anything fun on the weekends. I do. But is it really that fun eating terrible food? I mean, sometimes, right? Is it really that fun, like messing up your sleep cycle and starting all over again? Is it really that fun drinking a bunch of alcohol? Not really, right? I want to operate. I want to operate. And guess what? I still have, this is the best thing too. I have an awesome weekend. I wake up, I go to the gym before my family's up and doing stuff. And I have a teenage son and a baby, a wife, two dogs, cat. I got a whole household. And I'm like basically back at the gym when they're kind of up. They might already woke up, but you know what I mean? Like actually getting up, showering, and I'm already done. I'm in a good mood. I feel good. I got my workout in and I have the whole day, and I work weekends sometimes, but I might even come back from the gym. And then I have like a couple hours of work and I have the whole day and I have everything hard that I've ever done out of the way. I went to the gym. I got all my critical tasks done for my business, or you might not even work on your day off. I'm a business owner, so it's like 6, 7 days a week, but I get those things done and I have the whole day with my family. And if they're like, hey, let's go do this, let's go eat here. Hey, dad, can you go get ice cream with me? I don't feel guilty. And in fact, I'm like, hey, this is my higher carb day and my higher calorie day. I'd love to go get ice cream with you. I've actually planned for this. Let's go have fun, buddy. Because, my son's 14 and he has a metabolism and, a little six pack and he can eat whatever he wants. Instead of me being like, no, I'm sorry, I'm on this diet. No, I can't do that. I said, yeah, dude, let's go get some froyo. I freaking crush it in the gym. Today's my high carb day. Let's go, bro. And like crush it with my son. It's fun, right? And so I'm planning ahead. I know what my weekends are going to look like. It seems like most people just get shocked. Like, oh, I don't know what happened. Like, just, the weekends keep getting me. I'm like, yeah, dude, you already know what you're going to do this weekend. Most adults have their weekend planned out, right? Like, is this going to be a lazy weekend? Are we doing trips? Whatever. Plan for it. I've talked about this in the past. Literally tomorrow morning, I'm waking up and I'm going to Tucson, which is like an hour and a half south from where we live. We're going to leave at about 8:45. I don't want to. I don't like lifting in the morning, but I did lower body today. So I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm probably going to work out for 45 minutes. I'm going to do the assault bike, some push-ups, some arms, stuff like that, shower and be ready to go. We're going to this baby shower and there's probably going to be alcohol there, which I probably won't drink, but there's going to be snacks and whatever. I don't know what's going to be there. I just know that it's not going to be the stuff I eat at my house. It's not going to be high protein, yummy, delicious, healthy food. It's probably going to be snacks and things at a party. I'm going to go, I'm going to eat whatever I want. I'm going to enjoy myself. And I also woke up and probably burned, let's just say 300-ish calories. And it's a habitual thing, guys. Like I don't train. Yes, I do treat my days off like a day off, but like my training should stay the same. It does not mean I train 7 days a week. It's not what I'm saying. But I think for me, I would rather take a rest day on a Wednesday and a Friday, or a Monday and a Thursday if you're going to train 5 days a week, and train on my days off. I do, because on your days off that you're going to be worse with your nutrition. Like this isn't new news. So and I will say this, let me ask you this question. Do you need to? No, you don't need to. And even though I'm preaching this, I want to throw that out there because I feel like for some people, you guys might say like, well, that's stupid. Like, what if I'm in the calories? Yeah, if you're tracking all your macros, you don't need to train on the weekends. If you're against training on the weekends, don't train on the weekends. I'm telling you what helped me the most and what I've seen tons of clients that I have. I challenge them. Can you train on your like off days? Like pick 2 days. And here's the thing. If you work a Monday through Friday schedule, it doesn't even matter. Like you have kids, your kids are busier during the weekdays, right? So you trying to get in a workout when you're already busy, when you're like, oh, I worked a 10-hour shift or I work 12-hour shifts and I go home and I got to do homework with my kids and I got to cook and blah, blah, blah. You're trying to get your workout in that day? Don't. Wait for a day where you have the freaking whole day off. You can go to the gym and you can even make those your longer days. Hey, on the days that I work and I'm busy during the weekdays or I have my kids, my workouts are going to be 30 minutes. Awesome. Saturday and Sunday, or whatever your Saturday and Sunday are, make them 90 minutes in the gym. Stay there. Make them your hard days because you don't do anything that day or you have less to do that day. Now, if you're traveling, it's a little bit different, but you get my drift, right? And so sometimes the weekends are the longest days. And like for me, I want to make sure that you guys are getting it in. And so here's my recommendation. Number one, high intensity. Okay. I would do high intensity. Just pick a couple movements. It doesn't need to be complicated. For some of our clients, they have custom programs, so it's a little bit harder to say, oh, they all do this. But for one of our groups, we have them do more of like a WOD, a workout of the day. So I'm like, hey, pick one of these and go to the gym or go to your garage gym or whatever and just do these. And they're usually 45, 60 minutes max in and out. I want you to spend time with your family, but you need to put in the work. And I don't know about you guys, but I sleep in like 1 or 2 days a week, which is usually my days off. So you should be the most rested, and you should hit your most high intensity workouts when you're the most rested, because your central nervous system is the most rested. That means you'll be able to turn up the dial the most without damaging your CNS, your central nervous system, or your metabolism, or creating too much stress response in your body. So I think your high intensity days should be on the days that you sleep in the most. Okay. And another thing that's super helpful, which is on the nutrition side, and I've heard a couple trainers say this, and I actually really like it, is fasting from Sunday night to Monday night. If you don't want to train on the weekends, I still think you should do it. And the reason is basically, let's say you ate like hundreds of calories over, right? Or thousands of calories. Let's say you kind of binged on the weekend, but then you don't eat from Sunday night to Monday night, and your BMR, your baseline metabolism, is 20. I guess this would be not your baseline metabolism, but your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. Basically, how many calories did you burn today? Let's just say on average, without training, you burned like 2,700 calories or 2,300 calories. Cool. Well, you didn't eat for 24 hours. So there you go. You ate 2,000 calories extra. You just went in a huge deficit. And that's the power of fasting. And I'm not saying that you should binge and then starve yourself, because that's what some coaches might say, like, oh, yo, so you're supposed to just go crazy on the weekends and then just don't eat. No, that's not a good habit. That's not what I'm saying. But if you overdo it, if the weekend happens to you and you're like, oh, I need to get this off, don't be the person that goes, oh, I'm just going to go in a little deficit again, because that's what I did at the end of my military career. And I started getting a little bit fatter and a little bit fatter because the deficits weren't big enough and my binges were too much. Hopefully that makes sense. It's just math, guys. It's literally just math. And so if you're like, oh, it's like money. Oh, this weekend I blew a ton of money, so I'm spending nothing tomorrow. That's not the best way to do it. You shouldn't overspend and then spend nothing, but it's numbers, right? It's the same concept. So hopefully that makes sense. Also, I think making them fun. Like, most people don't want to train on the weekends. And so I wouldn't like go to the gym and do like monotonous things. I would take your freaking scoop of pre-workout or your coffee or whatever you do and make your workouts like a little bit different. I like to kind of switch it up. I have about right now 4 different workouts that I switch. They're usually kind of full body. I just kind of want to get my body moving and feel fun. And honestly, I like challenging high intensity workouts that beat me up, but I don't want to be in the gym for like 90 minutes sometimes, right? So the other day I just did literally sled pushes. Like I said, sled pushes. I didn't do lunges. I did sled pushes, pull-ups, curls, and then like, I don't know, some other like upper body movement. But like I went in there with intention. I was like, let's go. There's only like 4 or 5 movements on my workout in my app. I crushed it and I was out of the gym, and it was about 60 minutes because I did stretching and stuff. And I went home and I was beat. And I know I burned a lot of calories. I know my body and my metabolism was cranking up because I was hungry all day. And when you do more high intensity, you burn more carb storage, AKA glycogen. So the carb storage in your muscle. And so I was hungry. And guess what? I went and ate out with my wife and my son, and I had a burger and fries. And that was kind of my post-workout meal. Really optimal. I made my food work for me. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, guys, I don't think you should take weekends as your rest days. I know that's controversial, but I do think that you should train on the weekends. I would say this: if you train on the weekends, I bet your health habits would be better. I bet you would make better decisions with your sleep, with your alcohol, with your food choice, and with other health habits, water, stuff like that, stress. I think you would, right? Because during the weekdays, you're not, probably most people, during the weekdays, you're not drinking. Why? Okay, I got to wake up early. I got to go to work. Oh, so the fact that you have a prior commitment actually makes you make better decisions and makes you healthier. That's what you're saying. Well, I got to take my kids to school. Okay, so you have a responsibility and you committed to this thing, and so you're going to bed on time. You get what I'm saying? But when you don't have those things, even as adults, or basically kids trapped in big people bodies, I think I am, right? I feel like I'm like, oh, what could I get away with? Could I stay up till 1, or could I do this? Maybe some of you aren't like that, but I feel like I need to go train on the weekends. When I don't, I kind of veer away. So that's a really important thing for me. Hopefully, if you feel like, man, this is me. I'm kind of like, the weekends are where I'm really struggling. Just start this one thing. Don't make it overcomplicated. You can use some fasting. You can use some intermittent fasting. You can use some of the techniques I talked about, but just train. Saturday and Sunday on both of your days off. Take the rest day during the weekday. Find what day is your busiest day every week. Don't train that day. It's like our nurses. They go, well, I work 3/12s. Okay, train on the other 4 days. I don't want to train on all my days off. Well, you should. Those are your most rested days, and you're already busy on the other days. Why are you hitting your head against the wall? Like, why are you butting? That's a path, like go the path of least resistance, which is, hey, I work 3 days. So the other 4 days, I have way, way less to do. I have 12 hours less of things to do. I'm just going to train on those days. So 4 days a week, that's really, really good. Oh, but then I'm doing something every day. No, that's good, right? Because if you have a fitness goal, so while you're at work as a nurse, walking, on the other days you're strength training, that's really good. You should be doing that, right? Like that's my concept. So appreciate it. Love you guys. If this episode was helpful, I do ask that you like, comment, subscribe, whether you're watching this on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. It means a lot. I'm pumping out these episodes every week for you. Every single Monday, they're here. Okay. We're here dropping fire. So I appreciate it, guys. And if you are interested of like, hey, I know you work with a lot of first responders. I kind of need somebody to curate a program or need some accountability or nutrition advice. That's what we do. We're training hundreds and hundreds of military, tactical performance athletes, firefighters, cops, nurses, border patrol, all that bubble all over the US right now. We're doing a very good job with them. And so if you want to chat with us about how you can work with us, go to our website. It's thepursuithp.com. So www.thepursuithp.com. Or you can go and find me on Instagram, and it's Stephankunz_fit, which is STEFANKUNZ_FIT. Find me on Instagram. That's probably where we have the most stuff. I'm also on Facebook, but we're running IG ads, so it's growing a little bit more. So appreciate it. Love you guys, and we'll talk to you next time.